We've come a long, long way together, through the hard times and the good. I have to celebrate you, baby. I have to praise you like I should. I have to praise you. I have to praise you. I have to praise you. I have to praise you like I should. I have to praise you. I have to praise you. I have to praise you. I have to praise you like I should. I have to praise you like I should. I have to praise you. I have to praise you. I have to praise you. I have to praise you like I should. I have to praise you like I should.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining the OC Forum. Today's program is about employee wellness, and this is episode 2 of our Saving the Dream series. This is episode 2, and today's conversation, you don't want to miss this, is about employee wellness, and it's brought to you by our sponsors, UCI and UCI Health. So thank you very much to our sponsors. My name is Gregory Scott. I am the President and CEO of Community Action Partnership of Orange County, and I have the distinct pleasure of being your moderator for today's discussion. And I have some amazing panelists, but let me tell you a little bit about Community Action Partnership of Orange County. We've been around for over 50 years, been a champion here in Orange County, providing people with immediate solutions to help them find their way out of poverty. We not only help people in communities survive by addressing really basic needs, we help them thrive by empowering them through our advocacy, through our educational programs and job services, workforce development. From our previous conversation that we had back in February, we learned that the Great Resignation changed the way we look at employment in California. As we return to work in a post-pandemic world, in many ways we're still in a pandemic, many employees are now placing a greater emphasis on healthier work-life balance. Remote work, livable wages, greater flexibility are now at the top of many employees' new work requirements. In response to the shift, companies have collectively pivoted to retain current employees while also changing policies to attract new candidates. But not every employer is able to meet this growing demand, especially right away for these workers. While there is no denying that employees are our most valuable resource, how do we overcome the financial obstacles that come with offering the California dream job? Today, our panel of business experts are going to change the world in 60 minutes and give you all the answers that you've been looking for as they share their insight and help us explore solutions to these important issues that we're all facing as employers. So I want to introduce Tiffany Alba, Director of Partnerships and Government Affairs at First Five. We also have Bayo Thomas. He's a Senior Vice President of Consumer Banking Regions Executive at Bank of America. And John Swift, Regional Director of Technology, Marketing, and Creative at Robert Half Talent Solutions. So I'd like to introduce Tiffany. As I said, Director of Partnerships and Government Affairs at First Five. I have the distinct pleasure to work with Tiffany on the OC Forum Board of Directors during the past 2 years. Tiffany, it's good to have you join us today. Tiffany, welcome. As I said, we also have Bayo Thomas, and we also had John Swift along with us. So I want to welcome all three of you to our panel today, introduce you to our audience.
Thank you, Gregory. It's nice to be here.
Great to be here.
Awesome. Glad to have you. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Let's start with a warm up question. And this question, I'm going to start with you, Bayo. So my question is, if the Great Resignation has taught us anything, it is that taking care of your employees translates into taking care of your business. Bayo, we know that Bank of America prides itself in offering flexible and competitive wellness benefits to its employees and their families. Can you tell us a little bit about the benefits of taking care of your employees? What have you seen, and how has that helped Bank of America overall?
Hey, hey, Gregory. Um, can you hear me fine?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, excellent, excellent. Well, first of all, such a pleasure to be here with you and my fellow esteemed panelists. So thanks for having us, and thanks for engaging on such an important topic as well. We know that helping employees stay mentally, emotionally, and physically and financially fit and well is critical so that folks can show up well and deliver for our clients each and every day. So that said, what the bank has done is really a really good job of creating a slate of benefits that really help and aid the lifestyles and needs of the individuals on our team. Some of the things that we have done, and I'd be happy to share a few of those things, such as our life event services group, which provides mental, emotional, and physical wellness support through the Employee Assistance Program, which is where we provide confidential counseling at zero cost to our associates, and also teledoc services for immediate health needs to cope with everyday stress. This benefit, by the way, actually extends to the entire family of our associates and employees.
Wow.
Under life event services as well, we actually also offer emotional wellness and resiliency trainings through our partnership with Thrive Organization. And our employees can take those trainings at any given time and can sign up for daily mindfulness sessions as well. And from a financial standpoint, we also do provide $500 health credit towards their annual premiums, provided that our associates also complete a few voluntary steps, such as annual wellness visits to their own doctors. And you add on top of that discounts to numerous fitness centers that we also do provide for our folks to take advantage of. Two more quick things that I'll share concerning, for example, concerning financial wellness, which is very important
Mm-hmm.
for the well-being of our teammates. We encourage all our employees to take advantage and schedule time with designated employee specialists from our employee financial services team. In this way, they can fully learn about the length and breadth of services and financial products and navigation to help them through any of their future financial priorities and plans, such as getting ready for home ownership, paying for their children's college, and many, many more. And lastly, the culture of diversity is not just and diversity and inclusion is not just a it's not just a fun term to throw around. We've actually built in some infrastructures very well placed in there, such as certainly encouraging our associates to foster this culture through our employee networks that are set up throughout the entire organization. In the employee networks, our employees are able to gain leadership skills, network with colleagues at different levels of their career journeys, learn about different cultures and lifestyles
Mm-hmm.
through joining the networks. And some networks, such as the Black Professionals Group or our Military Support and Assistance Group, or the Asian Leadership Network, or Lead for Women, and so many more.
Wow.
And so these are just a few things just to highlight in some of the things that we've put in place to really help our employees.
Wow, Bayo. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Very, very powerful. John, you got to follow up. You got to follow up Bayo. That's going to be tough to do. But let me throw it your way. So, John, you know your agency helps companies connect with some of the most top talent across the nation, not just here in Orange County, but across the nation. Needless to say, you are at the forefront of what employees are asking for, and as a result, help businesses stay competitive when recruiting new employees. Are you noticing any trends in terms of what successful companies are doing to hire new workers? What advice can you share that shows the value in offering competitive benefits package?
Yeah, great questions. Thank you again for allowing me to be here today and sharing some of the insights that we see on a day-to-day basis across the
Sure.
market. And so, firstly, I thought I would just share a couple of details surrounding the state of the market. And to quickly review, data from the latest Bureau of Labor Statistics survey in March showed that a near record 4.4 million Americans voluntarily quit their jobs in February of
Wow.
2022, and the unemployment rate is 3.6%. And that's even lower in skilled sectors such as technology, finance, accounting, marketing, creative, where unemployment rates can be as low as less than 1% and maybe up to 2.5%. So the hiring
Hmm.
environment in Orange County is very competitive. The unemployment rate is 3.7%, which is below the national average, and candidates have their pick of opportunities. Secondly, I just wanted to point out that in a Robert Half survey of more than 68,500 candidates, 66% of candidates are not willing to return to the office full time. And 50% of those working from home said that they would start looking for a new job if required to return to the office full time. So that's
Hmm.
really, I just wanted those numbers and statistics to sort of sink in as we go through what employers can do differently to attract and retain talent. So, what can employers do given the circumstances of the market? There's quite a bit that they can do, and more, they have more power than they think they might be, than they might have. Firstly, we encourage employers to rethink their interview and vetting strategy. Um,
Hmm.
Firstly, make offers quickly. We encourage clients, and this is across all industries, when hiring across all functional roles, we're encouraging them to eliminate superfluous steps in the interview process.
Mm.
Actually, when hiring for contract positions, we're actually seeing companies hire candidates sight unseen about 10% of the time.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So we're also seeing companies that when they're hiring for full-time permanent positions, we're seeing employers increase the rate at which they conduct one and done interviews. So, again, if
Mm.
you're a company looking to bring in talent and you have, a 3, 4, 5 step interview process, you are, putting yourself at a disadvantage of being able to attract and onboard that talent. So, the second thing that, we're encouraging clients to look at is offering more remote work and flexible work schedules. Uh,
Hmm.
80% of companies, according to one survey, plan to offer a hybrid and or fully remote model. So if you're one of the companies that's in the minority, we would definitely, urge you to think about offering flexible work schedules and in some cases allow for fully remote work. We tell our customers be intentional when requiring employees back
Hmm.
into the office and be thoughtful, especially of childcare issues. That's been one of the
Hmm.
hottest, kind of topics of discussion in this post-pandemic world, which became, obviously pronounced during the pandemic when kids were at home taking classes over Zoom. So there's that. And then thirdly,
That's right.
be more competitive in starting salaries. In some
Hmm.
online surveys developed by Robert Half and conducted by independent research firms in 2021, those surveys found that of more than 2,300 senior managers surveyed, 55% of them are increasing starting salaries. 50% are offering remote options, 44%
Hmm.
are offering signing bonuses for the first time, And
Mm,
there's also 41% are increasing time off. And then lastly, and I think this is a very important topic, which is clients should be loosening their education and skills and experience requirements, where we're finding about
mm,
31% of hiring managers have made some changes in their requirements.
Yeah.
A couple of other, I guess, pro tips in how to attract talent
mm.
is increasing childcare, wellness, and mental health resources within benefits
Yeah,
packages.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
88% of human resources managers surveyed in a recent survey conducted by Robert Half said that their company has added perks as a result of the pandemic within the realm of childcare, wellness, and mental health. So that's really, really
Hmm.
important. So
Wow, you said some. I can dig into a lot of the things that you said, like really, you're talking about some things that are game changers for a lot of employees and a lot of employers in terms of pivoting and doing things from a different perspective. And I'm hearing a theme between what you said and what Bayo said around mental health, about around financial health. But something that's really key that you talked about was about childcare, and so we're seeing that across the board, no matter what industry you're in. We're seeing more and more about how childcare is important, especially for these
That's right.
very
these
much so.
working parents. So Tiffany, I'm coming to you now because some of the people that were really hit hardest, by the pandemic were parents, especially working women. Many of them have still not returned to work due to the staggering cost of childcare. Like I hear some of the childcare costs, and I'm blown away. It's like having a tuition for college tuition. So, Tiffany, can you share with us what your agency has experienced over the past 3 years and how this has affected not just working parents, but everyone in the community? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely, Gregory. Again, thank you so much for having us today to be a part of the panel. And John, I feel like you kind of just set me up for that question and to talk a little bit about what we've been doing that first five. So, before the pandemic, just to give you guys a little bit of background, First Five launched our childcare landscape, and we kind of broke this landscape up into three different phases. The first phase looked at the funds that were coming into the county from the state and federal government around child care and subsidies. The second phase looked at the economic impact that childcare has on just the county itself and the workforce. And then our third phase, which we currently just launched, is kind of helping look and focus on local solutions around childcare here in Orange County. And so, as you guys have mentioned, childcare has had a major impact on the economy itself. And our analysis is showing us that we have seen about $4.3 billion lost in productivity and wages
Wow,
here in Orange County. That's huge, it's
wow,
significant. And then also, just kind of looking at the tax revenue loss that we're seeing, is about $372 million, which kind of
wow, wow.
equates to about 67,000 jobs lost annually due to disruptions or childcare gaps. So this is huge when we're
Mm,
looking at this and what this looks like
hmm,
for our workforce here in Orange County. But some of the things that we've
hmm.
been hearing from parents is that, the price and affordability is extremely expensive. Gregory, you alluded to that. We're looking at childcare being a little over $26,000 a year for two children. So if you have two children in the home,
Wow,
it's about $26,000, a little over $26,000 a year. The other piece that parents are telling us
wow,
is that convenience around the location or hours, right? So, is the location currently around their work or close to home? And then those extended hours, factoring in the drive time to get to work and pick up, right? So, we know that there's shift work hours, that we have essential workers that are working night shifts and really needing different set hours that childcare providers can meet. And then also really around that quality, because we know that the child's development for the first 5 years of their life is huge. So when we're looking at this and when we've talked to employers through our analysis, we're hearing kind of the same thing. There's a huge lack of adequate childcare for their employers, and it's taking people out of the talent pool. And, we kind of all need to think about this as a solution that we need to all work together. It's not just the businesses, it's not just the families that are struggling with this. But really looking at how this impacts. And Gregory, you alluded to the fact that, women, especially women of color, are being affected by this, and they have not entered the workforce because of childcare issues and gaps. So when we kind of are looking at
Right.
this, I just want to also make the comment that, childcare, I have a saying, childcare is the workforce behind the workforce. And if we don't support the childcare
Yep.
sector, we're not going to have people entering into the workforce. And that it has a ripple effect on all of us, from parents to employers and to our economy itself.
Wow, that's really, really huge. We could have done a whole panel with just you. If I took each one of you, we could have done, a whole series on each one of you because the numbers you guys are throwing out, the education, the content you guys, the value added you guys are given to our audience is outstanding. And so I wanted to say thank you for sharing that. But I can really dig more into that as well. But Bayo, tell me a little bit about, after hearing from Tiffany, who just floored us with the information she has shared. What has Bank of America done in response to the growing need for childcare?
First of all, I love Tiffany's saying, and childcare is the workforce behind
The
the
workforce,
workforce,
yes,
and
yeah,
uh, I think that's the saying that a lot of businesses need to keep in mind.
yeah.
That is so true, so real. And as a father of young children as well, listen, I couldn't be more thankful about the support provided through my company during the pandemic period because schools were shut down a lot, and the call to still go to work and still get stuff done. Couldn't have done that without a lot of support. So some of the examples of what we did and doubled down even during the pandemic period for our full-time employees is we offered a program through called Childcare Plus, which offers childcare reimbursement to our employees to offset childcare expenses that they may have incurred and for them to be able to be at work.
Hmm.
Through the program, employees are able to receive up to $275 per month per child for eligible expenses right off the gate. In addition to that, the company also offers 50 days of deeply discounted backup care provided
Hmm.
through Bright Horizons, who we partner with, for both adult and child dependents whenever regular child care is unavailable for our teammates. And then certainly we certainly encourage our teammates to take full advantage of the pre-tax contributions to a dependent care flexible spending account. And those contributions are automatically deducted from their pay and before taxes, which lowers their taxable income. And so, different ways that we certainly encourage our people to take full advantage of, and ways that I certainly took advantage of during the pandemic, and couldn't be more grateful for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, thank you. So, John, for you, John, how do you work with both? Because you're working on both sides. You work with both
Hmm.
employees and with companies. So, how does your company kind of really make sure that they get what they need in terms of benefits and childcare?
Yep. Good question. So I'll talk a little bit about what Robert Half is doing for its 12,000 plus employees, which we've added benefits in response to the pandemic surrounding childcare. For instance, we have now introduced a program for our employees that offers backup childcare, similar to what Bayo was talking about with Bank of America, where employees can access backup childcare and or adult and elder care with only a copay for up to 15 days per year. Secondly, we've afforded a free access to a premium database of qualified sitters as well as discounts on personalized nanny placement services and pet sitters. Because we also find in talking to candidates and employees alike that sometimes it's not just the cost, it's the fact that people can't find good resources and sitters and childcare service, childcare uh, places. So, just by simply affording them a database of qualified resources is helping a ton. And then, um, we also have introduced academic assistance and exclusive discounts on tutoring, test prep, different enrichment classes. And so those are just a few of the items that we've done. We've also introduced paid parental leave for both paternal and maternity leave, which gives them their salary protection for up to 6 weeks each year. So that we're encouraging other companies to do the same and reinvest in their benefits package surrounding childcare specifically.
Wow, that's amazing. That's good.
Outstanding.
Yes, outstanding, outstanding. Well, interesting enough, many Californians seem to feel that companies and employers do not take care of their workers. They argue that it's better not to even go back to work, and instead prefer to live off unemployment or move somewhere else outside of California. We're seeing not just kind of the Great Resignation, but we're seeing a lot of people who are moving out of California because it's just unaffordable. And childcare certainly plays a big role in that, and all of our benefits play a big role in that. But on the other hand, you also have business owners saying that they cannot afford to offer childcare and other benefits, not because they don't want to, but because they simply do not have the resources to do so. So this is especially true with small businesses, the mom and pop shops you see in your neighborhoods. How do we solve this issue? Should employers carry this added burden, or can employees, meet them halfway? These are all questions that kind of on the top of our minds and things that we're wrestling with all the time. But we're going to take a quick break before we kind of get more into that, to really hear from our sponsors. But when we come back and when we return, we will continue our discussion on employee wellness in California. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
At UCI, we believe in the infinitely curious. We believe in the courageous of thought, the ones willing to fail again and again until one day they don't. When you have the courage to see things differently, to see opportunity where others see impossibility, amazing things will happen. At UCI, we stop at nothing to change the world, to save lives, and deliver the extraordinary.
Welcome back to the OC Forum. If you are just tuning in, you missed kind of a lot of great content, a lot of great information from our panelists. But if you're just tuning in, my name is Gregory Scott. I'm the President and CEO of Community Action Partnership of Orange County, and I am your moderator for today's discussion. Rejoining us are Tiffany Alva, Director of Partnerships and Government Affairs at First Five, Bayo Thomas, Senior Vice President of Consumer Banking Regions, Executive at Bank of America, and John Swift, Regional Director of Technology, Marketing, and Creative at Robert Half Talent Solutions. So earlier in our program, we discussed the values of taking care of your employees and how childcare has impacted the workforce in California. While there's no denying that employee wellness is important for any successful business, not every company can afford or has a resource to offer benefits. So how do we solve this issue? So Tiffany, I'm coming back to you. How has First Five approached this situation with the companies that you work with?
Yeah, thank you, Gregory. So, I had talked a little bit about our third phase and kind of launching local solutions. And so, what we have been doing is bringing together different cross sector groups to kind of talk a little bit about local solutions around childcare. Now, one of the things that we did hear from businesses when we did our landscape analysis was that a lot of companies just don't know or don't understand the need of their employees themselves. And so we've been working with companies to do surveys and have their HR department, when they hire, bring in new employees to understand what those needs are. Is it childcare? Is it health and wellness? Is it also, adult care for their parents, or anybody that they would be taking care of? And so, one of the biggest things that we're saying to businesses: understand what your employers truly need. But the other things that we've been working and talking about, and John and Bayo, you talked a little bit about them earlier, was offering that dependent care flexibility spending accounts, and also providing
Mm-hmm.
employees access to childcare, or information around quality childcare here in the county. So there's a few different places that you can do that, so that you as an employer don't have to build that list yourselves. Care.com, which is Care at Work, is a resource. We also have our own Orange County Resource and Referral Agency, which is Children's Home Society, which will provide resources to families that are looking for childcare, as well as assistance to pay for childcare. We're also looking at, having business sharing what they're investing in areas where it helps and supports their employee themselves. And what we're seeing is that these larger organizations that have these investments or resources for their employees, it has decreased the absenteeism quite a bit, of
Mm. Wow.
people being able to come to work, and actually also not even leaving the workforce, and having that involuntary
Mm-hmm.
separation from the employer as well. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. 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 Good stuff. Good stuff. John, what tips or lessons learned that you can share with us as well?
Yeah, great question. And I could probably talk for 30 minutes on in answering this question. But the one outstanding pronounced theme is to simply be flexible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it starts with the company culture.
Mm-hmm.
Make it okay to be a parent. Make it okay to
Yep.
uh,
Yep.
to allow and afford parents to care for their child during work hours. Some
Yep.
simple uh, tips could simply be allow for time blocking throughout the day, where you make it okay for workers to take a couple of hours off, whether it's to go pick up a child from school, or to drop them off at their next, after school daycare center, that sort of thing. What
Mm-hmm.
one thing that Tiffany just said was surveys, and that's something that we at Robert Half have implemented we implemented it in 2020, which was a quarterly survey um, given to all employees, which is aimed at really trying to find out what employees want. Because, we find
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of employees just aren't, they don't feel empowered. And they feel
Yep.
like if they really, uh, sometimes tell it like it is, they're afraid that
Mm.
their
Yeah. Yeah.
employer's just not going to like that. And so I am a
Yep.
big advocate of conducting anonymous surveys by employers that are administered by a third party, because it can really help you
Mm-hmm.
understand as an employer or as a manager to what's really important for your employees. And you might find
Yeah.
that it's not just money. You might find that it's
Mm-hmm.
things like, hey, I want to work from home on Fridays, or can we have summer Fridays
Right.
off? Or, can we
Right.
do,
Mm.
can we implement something where, we use a few hundred square feet of our office for a little, childcare center, something like that. Um,
Right. Yep.
and then, the third thing is, we talked a little bit about the cost. And yes, this is a burdensome financial burden for, parents and companies and society alike. But I would also, ask employers to think about the following. What does it cost when someone
Wow.
leaves? The
Mm-hmm.
cost of attrition is
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it, you can't measure it,
That's
but
right.
we know that it's a lot having to go out, find new employees because someone left voluntarily. Then you have to
Mm-hmm.
train the employee for sometimes months and months and months at a time. Especially
There's a
let's
cost.
what if you're a sales organization? We know that, salespeople, it could take in some cases 2 years to ramp up. You just lost your top
Yep.
salesperson
Hmm.
potentially because you weren't flexible enough. How much is that going to cost you?
Yeah.
Not just in pure sales revenue generation, but also, customer loyalty, right? So it's a ripple effect. And so we would encourage clients to, spend some money in these areas to prevent potentially
Mm-hmm.
hemorrhaging way more money in the long term.
John, I think that's the latter part of your comments. I think is really important because oftentimes, as business owners, as leaders, we don't always count the costs, count the cost of business. And there's a recruiting cost to it. There, I mean, there's lost
Absolutely.
revenue. There's so many things that kind of go into that oftentimes do not show up in the P&L. And so
Absolutely.
so that's a great education for leaders, for business owners to really think about. Given all, and this is a question for all of you. All of you can kind of jump on this one. Based on everything I'm hearing around wellness, around childcare, around mental health, around financial health, I mean, all these themes that for me kind of pop out, that are really, really important. That's very different, even from 2 years ago, even from 5 years ago. And I'll say this as a CEO of my organization. If you would have asked me 2 years ago about working remotely, I probably would have said, "There's no way we can do our work and do it remotely." But I think COVID taught us that it's possible, and we can still get really good results, and it's possible. And so all of us have to shift and change our thinking, and change our mindsets. But it feels like, when we talk about a new normal, it feels like a lot of these needs that our employees need are here to stay. Um, and so, Bayo, I'll start with you, but anybody can jump in on this question. Is what advice would you give, or what are you doing to prepare for the future? Are there any plans to expand benefits even more? Although you talked about a lot of things that Bank of America is doing, are there other ideas or other innovative ways that people can really do to really change and pivot the way they offer benefits?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And before I jump in on that, I just want to jump in back on the previous question, real quick. I think both John and Tiffany talked about the importance of the survey
Yeah.
as a means of being able to understand what's important to your employees and associates. But just equally as important as capturing the survey is doing something with it. I mean, so because otherwise, if we keep completing surveys and nothing changes, you're not going to inspire any. It just becomes this empty activity and empty calorie, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's very, very important. That often gets overlooked. Sometimes we just think that creating this avenue is a magic. Well, you actually need to do something. And what we do know is when employers listen to their staff
Mm-hmm.
and pay attention to their individual needs
Mm-hmm.
and do their best to accommodate, at least make an effort, uh, uh, the results can be tremendous in terms of associates giving 100% of themselves to the work,
Yeah.
and everybody wins when we're able to do that. Now to the current question, what can we do or what are we doing? In my organization, in our business, we interact with small business
Mm-hmm.
owners and large business employers, and certainly in those interactions, we often start or center around the question of what would you like the power to do?
Mm-hmm.
And that starts the premise of our interactions with our counseling sessions and with our advice giving sessions with our and small business clients and large business clients and employers, et cetera. I think as a leading institution, our job is to listen to our small business clients
Yep.
and understand their unique goals and help them to get their business to a place where they're able to take care of all their clients and employees. So really, the position that we're in is to be more cognizant of the environment that we're in, to be cognizant about the unique challenges for each business based on their industry and based on what they're working with,
Mm-hmm.
and really be able to come up with tailored advice to actually help them be more productive, be more successful, have their access to the resources they need to be able to also tie that back into what they need to do for their employees as well as their clients as well. And that's the opportunity that we take very seriously here.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. John, you want to jump in on that question?
Yeah, I think I loved what you said, Bayo, about actually taking action in response to
Mm-hmm.
a survey. One of the things that we've done is upon the completion of a survey, we actually share the results of the survey in a live session with small teams to generate more discussion because I think that employees want to know what other employees are saying too, so that they don't feel
Mm-hmm.
alienated for maybe having a thought about something. And there's
Mm-hmm.
solace in knowing that, gosh, I'm not the only person that feels this way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so we notice that even if you're a business that maybe cannot implement right away, just simply addressing the topic at hand and acknowledging that this is the way your employees feel does go a long way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What we've found throughout time is companies leave, or I mean, sorry, employees leave their managers. They
Yep.
don't leave their jobs. They don't leave their companies. They leave their managers. And so as long as they're feeling supported in a flexible work environment, you have a good chance of retaining that employee. And I really emphasize retaining employees because, they're your best assets more so than the prospective candidates out there that you'd maybe like to hire, right? Because they've already had
Yeah.
the training. You've already invested time, effort, and money into those folks. And so, you know, meet with your employees on a monthly or at the very least quarterly basis and have really raw, unfiltered, organic discussions about their happiness at work. You know, we've
Mm-hmm.
we've we've taught our
Wow. That's right.
managers at Robert Half to meet with their staff and ask them a simple question. How do you like your job here? And what can we
Yep.
do differently to enhance your experience here? We're
Yep.
assuming that
Great
we can do
question.
something differently. And just
Yep.
by simply asking those open-ended questions in a one-on-one with an employee, you'd be very surprised what many employees will talk about, and it'll help you retain that person.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful. I like that. I like that. Tiffany, any thoughts?
Well, I'm going to make the plug for that 90% of the child's brain development happens before the age of 5, right? I'm first 5. So, with
Yeah.
knowing that
Yeah.
and ensuring that children have access to quality care and that families can enter back into the workforce, those children that we're providing this service for in childcare right now are going to be our future workforce. So how are we
Yep. That's
supporting
right.
those children and those families right now for our future workforce here in Orange County?
Yep.
So, it really is about one, the quality childcare component, affordability, and helping support that family as a whole. So one of the things that we're doing is we're looking at some legislation that's coming down from the state and federal government in the future. I mean, we're looking at transitional kindergarten that's going to be taking effect over the next 4 years and supporting families. That will help with some of the affordability pieces. But also looking at how we support businesses and their employees around flexible hours and um, helping and supporting find childcare, right? So getting those businesses, especially our small businesses that don't have a large HR department to help and support and get these resources to
Right.
them, we're looking at different ways. We talked a little bit about that survey, but what we're doing is trying to reach out to those small businesses so that we can provide them with a survey so that they're not having to build it in-house. And as
Mm,
those surveys come in, we are able to support them with resources and documents that are at their fingertips so that they can actually take action
Wow.
on what those employees are needing. And so, when we think about it, all of these different pieces all affect our workforce in the future. And it's going to take all of
Hmm.
us to work together, from philanthropy, businesses, legislation, parents, all to really come together and find solutions that we can do here locally. So that's kind of what we're doing. And as we look into the future, how can First Five be a support system for that as well? We all play our part.
hmm.
Wow. Wow. Very powerful stuff. And I thank you for sharing that. I am highly, highly disappointed. And the reason why I'm disappointed because that's about all the time we have for today. That we're running out of time. And I want to thank all of the panelists for being here, for sharing your insights with our audience. But before we end, even though I'm disappointed, I'm still going to take some moderator privilege and ask one more question before we end. So I wanted to ask you, if there was one thing you can do to save the California dream job, what would that be? Tiffany, we'll start with you.
Ooh, if I had a magic wand and I can make my future is, we are all coming together to support the health and well-being of our workforce here in Orange County. That, I think I talked a little bit about it in my last answer, is that there's no golden ticket to this. It's going to take multiple different avenues to help and support businesses and employers and families. And that the more we have
Hmm.
conversation about this, and open and honest conversation about what people need, the better off that we're going to be. So I would say us coming together from all different sectors, working together and having those honest conversations to make movement around supporting our workforce.
Love that. Love that. Bayo, what would you, if you got a magic wand, what would it look like for you?
Well, Gregory, I think that it would be being on your show. And so we're already making that happen right
Yes.
now. Look at
Yeah.
that.
Yes, we
Um,
are.
and and use this platform to inspire and advise the plethora of folks that are listening and watching, and business owners and employers that are out there to inspire to say, let's use this opportunity to elevate from BAU, business as usual, to
Yes.
BAB, business as better.
Wow.
Because at the that's right. I just said that,
Yeah. Yes.
quote, yes, right, ink that up. Um, but let's the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Yep.
And so you've heard from John, you've heard from Tiffany on very things that their organizations are doing, my organization is doing. You don't have to do it all.
Yeah.
Take a step, right?
Yep.
And so seek counsel, take a step. If it's having Tiffany's org maybe help me with my survey, maybe that's the first step that you need to take. Take it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so there, we can do this together, and I think that's the opportunity that we have. And so that would be my share in what we can do to try to save this dream. So.
Wow, I love that. Now, Bayo, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you look on social media and you see hashtag business as better, I'm gonna give you credit the first time, but then after that, I'm stealing it. It's all mine after that. But the first time, I'm gonna give you credit. So I love that hashtag business is better. I
All
love it.
right, you got it.
Okay, John, close us out. John,
Yep.
what would your magic wand look like?
If you're a manager out there, just don't be afraid to ask the questions you may not want to hear the answer to, from your
Yeah.
employees,
Mm,
for sure. And I couldn't agree more. Having conversations like this to spread awareness about what, employees really want is going to help so many businesses flourish and meet their goals and objectives, and ramp up staffing. And we didn't really talk a heck of a lot about DE&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we're finding
Mhm.
that,
Yeah.
companies who are, making an effort and not just investing financial resources. It doesn't always have to be about dollars and cents, but making an effort in,
That's right.
achieving DE&I goals are typically more successful, and they're seeing that that's tied to revenue growth, right? So, that
Yep.
I would leave you with that thought. Maybe that's a whole other, panel discussion at some point in the near future. But
Yeah.
thank you all for allowing, me to be here and, to participate in this discussion. It's really been a pleasure, and this is very important stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree, John, and I think the DEI, intersecting the DUI into this conversation is really important because I think everything we talked about is really about creating equity, and inclusion, and listening, and being good leaders. Good leadership is also being a good listener. It's taking the steps as John talked about, to really move those things forward, even if you can't do it all at one time. Taking that first step. I think Dale is actually the one who mentioned that. So there's so many things I can take from everything people said, but I want to thank you again for your inspiration. I'm inspired. I learned a lot, and to a point where there are things I'm going to take back from our conversation today to my own organization. I want to be a better leader, and I want my leaders to be better leaders, and we want to be better listeners for our organization. So you made an impact on me. I want to thank you to our viewers for tuning in to our program today. Um, Without you, and being able to share this information with you, I hope you are taking notes and taking good notes and able to make your organizations and your companies and your business better. But I would also like to thank our title sponsors, UCI and UCI Health, for making this program free, absolutely free, for all of our viewers. Please be sure to tune in to our final episode, of this conversation in June. So for more information about this topic and to view our previous conversation, visit OC Forum website in the description below. Thank you again. Have an amazing, amazing day. And we thank you for tuning in and tuning into our panel today. Thank you very much.
At UCI, we believe in the infinitely curious. We believe in the courageous of thought, the ones willing to fail again and again until one day they don't. When you have the courage to see things differently, to see opportunity where others see impossibility, amazing things will happen. At UCI, we stop at nothing to change the world, to save lives and deliver the extraordinary.